I'm very good at sort of going, I'm a really qualified detective. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. When I had my feedback about a internal acting position, I had the you're selling yourself, you're not selling what you can do for the team. And I've had a bit of input about why am I doing to sort of talk about why am I doing things, not what I'm doing. And I can be a bit linear and a bit I'm an organizer and I
Mhm.
sometimes lose some of the personality, if that sort of makes sense.
All right, so lose personality, which is important as a sergeant. I got a bit mixed up with that. So go on, run that first bit by me again. That you had feedback for an acting position. Did you
Yeah,
get that?
so no,
Okay.
I didn't get that acting position. It was middle of last summer, was it? And then I've had the opportunity to go through the papers this time round, and I found out I think it's Thursday, latest Thursday, that the interviews are starting Monday. So I've been doing a bit of prep. I've got a bit of a book where I've been doing the CVFs and that sort of stuff, and I've had some input about some of the topics that they've covered previously around like some stuff about standards and expectations, culture, performance, and implementing change. I can parrot fashion the forces race action plan, some of the Vorgs, do you know that side of it? But I don't necessarily put the personal spin on it. I don't think naturally.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is you've got a little book, you've written down all the CVFs, you're like, know the CVF inside and out. They're not assessing you on that though, your
No.
ability to regurgitate the CVF. Questions in the past have been around culture, change, performance. I'm guessing in culture it's standards.
Well, they've done two. They've done culture, and then they've done standards and expectations. Um, because I also bear in mind I'm casting the net wide. I did an interview with South Yorks just before Christmas for the sergeants again, trying to transfer forces with opportunities, and they did a sort of the how do you deal with the racist WhatsApp group and the member of staff coming to you, and I think I struggled with putting my spin on that one, and I want to try and make sure I'm ahead of that because do you like some of the stuff for me is very self evident about you just need to, it's unacceptable, it just needs dealing with, you need to talk to PSD, whereas I think I need to be talking more about looking after the staff member, sort of supporting them that they've had the bravery to come forward and try and sort of be a bit more focused that way about the welfare and that side of it rather than going they're idiots, they should be crucified, nail them to wall next. And I think I lost some of the personality with the answer.
Okay, so you didn't succeed there neither.
No.
No. Okay, right. Okay. All right. We'll go into this in a little bit more depth, but it sounds like you mentioned very good at reeling things off parrot fashion, linear processes, systems. How do you deal with a racist WhatsApp group? You deal with it by referring them to PSD, blah, 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 blah. Here's the policy. What I'm sensing, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're great at telling them how you're going to follow policy,
Yeah.
but not how you're going to deal with all the people stuff.
Yeah, like going back and forth with the application, the emotional intelligence example was the one that didn't come naturally. I really had to sort of work at it and work on the language.
All right. What was the emotional intelligence question?
It was give an example of when you supported somebody through a thing, and I gave an example about because I'm a super TACAD. I had a phone call out of the blue about a sergeant at a complex incident where was it a bomb, was it chemicals, was it just weirdo, and about how I supported her through dealing with it, working with fire and all that, and the input I had from one of the people working with me is stop talking about the facts and start talking about how you adjusted and how and why you did stuff and how you let them take the lead but supported them. And
Yeah,
I
it
did
was.
I
It's not a
do
good,
it.
not a good example.
Hmm.
Yeah, just that's not what they're looking for.
Hmm.
It's just not what they're looking for because that just demonstrates
Oh,
that you can give people advice on what the policy is, what the systems are, how to do things correctly. Okay, right. I'm getting a good sense, Tom, of where you are. All right, awesome. Tom, we can take a look at that for you. Julie, what are we struggling with? I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Julie. You are unmuted, but your microphone's not working. It was working before, which is strange. No, still not working. All right. Okay. We'll park that for a moment. Let's go to Murad.
Hi, Brendan.
Hey.
With myself, I passed the exam in late 2023, took
Mhm.
up a temping position in GMP. Did that for about 6 months, and I did two promotion boards whilst I was temping. Now, the first time round, it came around pretty quick, and I didn't really know what to expect. So sort of just went in, did a bit of research beforehand, but virtually I had maybe a week or two to plan. So I did have high expectations. I got some feedback from there. I went and did it again 6 months later, and I think that the sort of feedback that I'm getting is sometimes I'm not answering the questions. I am giving detailed answers and I'm following through with a lot of things, but I'm not actually answering the question. And that's what I'm struggling with.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Common. Okay. All right. Thanks, Murad. We can look at that. All right, Tom, going to yourself. So for everyone, look, here's the thing. One of the things that we drill into our academy members, and I mean seriously drill into them, is you may be getting advice from, I mean, how many of you have, oh, Julie's gone again. Hopefully she'll come back and join us. How many of all two of you on such a sunny evening have got conflicting advice from different people in the force? Like, give me a thumbs up if you've had like loads of people giving you advice and it all seems to be different. Give me a thumbs up. Murad, yeah. Tom, not
So,
sure. I,
well, no, so I'm being quite specific. I've only really gone to one person and been quite militant with it.
oh, militant with it. Right. Okay. Militant. Oh my goodness. Um, when you say militant, I've got to explore that word. Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just being very so like Les. I've stuck with Les, and I don't want to fill my head with too many because because I could be a sponge for data, and
Yeah.
if I have it from different sources, which is conflicting because I'm now speaking with you, but I want to try and a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be trying to do a mishmash of it. I want to try and sort of have one sort of pass of that. This is a style, and then use that as a tool to answer their questions.
Yeah. Gotcha. Was this mentor of yours the mentor for the two previous attempts that you've had, previous two
No,
attempts?
I didn't speak to anybody. I just did it by myself and
Gotcha.
didn't.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing, Tom, and me, all right, and anyone else who may be watching this in the future. Like, look, there's five things, five elements to a brilliant answer. And most people just focus on two, structure. Actually, most people just focus on one, structure. Because you'll get advice from different people, like use the Carl method, use SAW, use STAR. We've got our own SAL that we've developed over the years. We've actually got a bit on the front and we've got an add-on on the end as well for advanced interview answers. So, but a lot of people just focus on that, like structure. Um, and Tom, it sounds like you're a very detailed person. I'm picking up already that you're a very detailed person. You've got a real eye for an eye for
Mm,
detail, and you pay attention to it, and you like things to be done in a systematic way. You like processes. You know what they are. You're really good at that. You're like a font of all knowledge for people who
mm.
want some advice about. So what's the policy on? Am I right, Tom?
Yeah, I've on the back of that, I've recently had some input, and do you know the Surrounded by Idiots, the disc color system? I've been had that as a use that as a structure, and I've been using that to try and sort of soften some of the edges with people.
Okay. Yeah, I've gone through training for all sorts of things like that. I think I was a turtle and a fox once or something like that.
Mm.
I've done the color coded things.
Yeah,
I've
very
done
very blue and struggle with yellows in the color side of
the,
it.
that's it. I've done the Myers-Briggs and all the rest of
Mm,
it. And the animal one where I think I was a turtle fox or something. Anyway,
mm,
they're all good because they can give you a bit of an insight into, oh, that bit of me is missing. So it feels to me, Tom, like you've got the structure, you've got real attention to detail. Um, you think you're answering the question. So those are three of the things out, three out of the five. Structure, detail, and making sure you answer the question. Like that's for you, Murad. Like make sure you answer the question.
mm.
Um, because if you go off a tangent, they may not bring you back in. it depends what brief they've had as interviewers. If the candidate goes off at a tangent, do you bring them back in or not? Do you stop them? I used to. I used to say, look, I'm going to stop you here because I feel as though you've gone off at a tangent. What you're talking about is X when I want to hear about Y. Now, Tom, there's two things that seem to be missing. Correct me if I'm wrong, and please, I'm making a judgment here based on my 31 years of experience talking to you for 5 minutes. But I think that the gap that you've got is authenticity. Hold on to this one. Hold on to this, because I'm not saying you're not authentic. I'm saying sort of the authenticity
It's the delivery
and the emotional connect.
Mm.
The emotional connect. So when I say authenticity, what I mean by that is you're quite happy to talk about the struggle, the challenge, the things that didn't go to plan, the things where you said one word and the other person took it the wrong way, and you're like, oh shit, that I shouldn't have said that way. Or, that level of authenticity where you're demonstrating that you're not the perfect product. You might be perfect in terms of knowing the policies, systems, processes, but in dealing with people, this is where the struggle is. This is where the struggle always is. It's always about people. I can remember when I got promoted to inspector or temporary inspector, which isn't a promotion, of course, but after my first week as a temporary inspector, the superintendent called me into his office and I was like, oh, I've not got time, boss. And he went, no, make time. Like, you're the inspector, I'm the superintendent. I want to speak to you for half an hour, like, at least, maybe an hour. Yeah, but I'm really busy. I don't care. Like, my office now, and he brought me in and said, how's the week been? And I gave him this long list of there's this happening and something happening in the custody office, and the custody sergeant walked out the other day just saying to hell with this. I didn't even want to be a custody officer in the first place. Someone else is off sick with something. Someone else is just getting divorced. Someone else is two of the team have just got together. They're an item now. They fell out the other night and now they're back together again. And one officer turned up drunk. And my sergeant didn't know what to do. And I said, well, you're going to have to breathalyze them. And they're like, no, no, no. And the custody officer refused to breathalyze them and just everything. And I went, it's just like a queue of people things. And at that point, he leaned across the desk and just went, Brendan, it's always about the people. Always. That's 90% of your role. People. And that really stuck with me. And I thought, that's apt for any rank, sergeant, inspector, chief inspector, superintendent. It's all about the people. So I think the bit that's missing, Tom, from what you've talked about there is you talking about, okay, so if we take that sort of racist comments in a WhatsApp group, there's multiple different things going on there. Julie's just coming back now. There's so much going on. So much going on there. The process of dealing with it, you probably outlined, like collect evidence, collect information, ask questions as to what happened, who was involved, what was said, who impacted, what was the impact, who was the person reporting it, and then you fed all of that you completed the forms and fed it to PSD. Yep, is that sounding familiar?
Yeah, it's that sort of stuff. And then trying to sort of put a veneer of, but also think about their welfare and see about training and some of that. But like you say, I don't know how I can't say the word, how the authenticity comes across with it.
Right. You've just given me a clue there, Tom. You called it the veneer of training. The veneer of whatever. I focused on that veneer word. So part of me feels like you see this as an unnecessary add-on. Whereas what I'm suggesting to you is, no, this is it. This is what gets you promoted. This is what will get you these.
Yeah.
That's what will get you these. And later on, that's what will get you these. It's the 90% is the people stuff. The 10% is you just describing the process. You just describing the forced policy. But they're not looking for that because I could coach my daughter who's 16 to be able to deliver an answer on what the process is for dealing with someone who's posted something racist in the WhatsApp group. What you've got now is all the people stuff, describing how you're going to manage that and not seeing it as a veneer of something, a veneer of training, or no, this is the bread and butter. This is in the trenches stuff. Like 90% of your time, when you've got these on your shoulders, all these is people stuff. Like seriously, 90% of it. My old superintendent, Pete, was absolutely correct there. And over the decade plus where I was an inspector, I got substantive very soon after that. I always remembered that, like, it's just people. Everything I do now is all about people. Does that make sense, Tom?
Yeah, it's sort of one of the things I've tried to sort of reflect a bit back on, and because I've got three boys myself, my oldest is only just a teenager, and it's like, do I need to be doing more dad and sort of less sort of policies process, put the file in, that sort of stuff, and go getting the how I'd be with the sort of the listen to them, let them talk about the day that side of
Yeah.
it, and try and put that, so effectively adopt the shift or adopt how I would want my boys to be treated, that side of it, and sort of fit that sort of go, well, I need to sort of spin, okay, I know there's that pot of process and policy, but let's get, like you say, it's the people. I'm just not natural with it. And I think where you've touched on it with that authenticity.
Yeah, and you've just used another word there, which would red flag me on a board. Spin.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think there's a danger, Tom. I'm being really honest here. I'm being as
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, no, I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Stop me if you think, oh no, this is a little bit too much value, this, but and stop me and challenge me back into saying, no, I think you don't know me, and of course I don't know you, Tom. This is the first time I met, but I'm trying to deliver value here for you because in your board, if you just deliver one word, which is like, oh, the spin of or the veneer of, that'll red flag me.
Hmm.
I'll probably ask you, what do you mean by that? You said veneer in your answer, but I won't ask you straight away. I'll ask you 3 minutes into your answer when you've finished it and you've delivered it. And as opposed to asking you questions about something that
To
you
expand and
I want you to expand on this because that sounds really interesting. I'm asking you to expand on the wrong thing. You're drawing my attention to something that you don't want attention drawn to. Because I'll say, I'll just say exactly the question I ask you. You use the phrase veneer. What exactly do you mean by that? And I'll be like a dog with a bone. I won't let that go. And I'll probably I'll probably give you feedback like the feedback you've had. Like you just need to focus on the people stuff more. You need to describe that. So those two things, authenticity, things go wrong. Well, you know
hmm.
this, don't you? As soon as any plan meets people in the police, it starts going wrong. You know, I can't think of many times when we've had a plan to deal with something difficult or challenging, where we started here and then we went through multiple steps to get to our ideal vision of what success looked like. Well, it's never the same. It's that what the success was is never the same as what we thought success was going to be when we actually first started. And the reason being is because our plan hit people. Like
Hmm.
it started involving people. And as soon as you involve people in anything, things just go wobbly. And that's just the nature of the beast. It's the nature of being in the trenches out there, the trenches in inverted commas, out there dealing with real people and dealing with their dreams and their emotional roller coaster that they're under. Because bearing in mind, you get promoted to sergeant, you're going to be a sergeant probably in charge of, unless you get promoted into a specialist position. But chances are, and here's the thing for the assessors, this is what they're thinking. They're not thinking, oh, Tom would be really good as a sergeant in his specialist role. The question they're asking themselves as a divisional superintendent or divisional chief superintendent or chief inspector is, yeah, so Tom will be unleashed on B relief because that's where we've got a gap. That's where we've got someone who's almost finished acting. And what the team really needs is a certain type of support. And that's where Tom will be. So in 2 weeks' time, Tom could be on my team at 4 in the morning on B relief and not one of them has got more than 4 years service. Not one of them's got more than 4 years service or 5 years service. Would I be right, Tom, in saying that that's probably pretty standard now on response?
yeah, probably less with knots how knots is at the moment because they've done super cohorts basically.
And look, there's every force is like that. Hey, Andy, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Um, so, so I know Andy's one of our academy members as well. So that's what they're thinking, Tom. Like, is Tom going to manage this roller coaster, which is young officers with 2 or 3 years service who are struggling? So let me ask you this question. When was the last time you asked one of your officers or one of your colleagues, how do you feel about that incident that you've just dealt with?
I'm trying to sort of do that because I've had the opportunity to be sort of tutoring and mentoring recently, and I've tried to push myself into those sort of zones and trying to sort of I've got a lady who's been in policing a long time and had head trauma in an incident at work, and she's determined to sort of come to do finish out in the detectives route.
Right.
And she's got a big sort of step from where she has been to where she's doing. It's trying to sort of build that confidence, try and reassure that you've still got those core skills, and get her sort of reflecting on it and sort of, can I spin how my approach is you? Is this working? Have what we done? Are you feeling it? No. Can we come at it from a different angle and do a different approach and trying to sort of fix that way? I've then had some feedback on the back of it about how that's then delivered and how that can be done in a better way. She liked the message, she didn't like the delivering.
Right. This is so flagging up. This is so enlightening, Tom. Like, I hope it's valuable for you,
Mm,
because I really think that there's a lot to do there in terms of you having that emotional connect with other team members and demonstrating
mm,
you can have that emotional connect um, to the board. I'm gonna suggest something to you, Tom. When was the last time you spent a couple of shifts with on response with some of those younger service officers?
it was 2018 that I left response. I get the odd sort of drop in with the CBRN, but that's normally at a bit of a higher level.
Right. Okay. If you can, Tom, did you say your board's next week?
Yeah.
Never use the word spin. You keep using it. Right.
No,
Yeah. Stop.
I've written down language as sort of a catch-all for it.
Yeah. So I would. I hope it goes well. I suspect you may. I mean, it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard, was it, for me to work out? All right, there's an emotional
Uh,
connect thing. Yeah.
I'm quite black and white.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So I think you could probably benefit from however you can do this, whatever strings you can pull, whatever, even if it's on a rest day or whatever. Look, this is your future
Mm,
career. Reach out to one of your old buddies who's an inspector or sergeant on response and just say, can I just come and join you for a couple of days? Can I come and join you? Can I come and I think I need to upskill myself. I really need to understand the emotional roller coaster that is an officer with 2 or 3 years service today out on the front line doing their
mm,
degree, 22 years old, 21 years old, could be like 2 years service at age 20. Like, I really need to understand that. And then when you are out there with them, just tell them, look, this is why I'm here. And I'd really like to understand what it feels like. Feels. You need to get good at the F word, Tom.
yeah.
You need using the word feel a lot more. How are you feeling about? How did that feel to you? How are you feeling now you've dealt with that incident? And practicing the art of debriefing people. Because I don't think the F word is used enough. And balance that, I'll come to you in a moment, Julie, balance that with asking questions about what they're proud of. Because when was the last time you asked that question of anyone? Tom, can you tell me about something that you've done recently that you're really proud of?
Mm. Like, I do a bit. I've always had a thing from when I was sort of first started with a tutor about what went well, what went badly out of interviews, sort of both ways with it, which I sort of naturally do, but that's more habit.
You're taking it, yeah, that's just like the experiential learning cycle.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. That's a different thing.
Mm,
That's not connecting with emotions. That's just connecting with what went well, what didn't go well, what skills do I need to develop to. You're just talking about Kolb's experiential learning cycle.
mm,
Listen, ask about proud, what you're proud of. Get them so proud. Ask about something that they're so proud of that they're almost like tears in their eyes,
mm,
and deal with that. And then look at, right, how can I or others support you to do more of that thing that you're really proud of? So there's some work there, Tom. But the good thing is you've been really open this evening. I thank you for that. And I hope what my insight has been valuable for you.